and Zimmerman does come through, but I don't think he's going to drop him. I think Zimmerman's shown that he's strong enough to kind of stay with Cavagna, and with only 49 seconds you would think that we're in for a dramatic final, especially with that bonus sprint with 5 kilometres to go, and then that finishing ramp of up to 26%.
I think we've actually had a welter finish in the town we've just been through in the past. Just seem to recognise that wall. We cut through the arch into town and finish there. But somebody will remind me. If you'd like to help out, it's at Carlton Kirby, CarltonKirby. This, of course, is all on Twitter. Or at Bryce Smithy, Brismithy. 44 seconds, and we cut through past the old church here. Sort of a cross-country skiing area, this. We may well see some of the tracks that are used in that regard. That might well be one there. Who knows? When the winter snow comes, it's clearly all burnt down, and nice to see the farmers actually harvesting here. That's very early winter wheat, isn't it? Average speed, 42.4 kilometres per hour, despite the climbs that we've had. We've only been really introduced to them after, well, the most significant ones after around 60, 65 kilometres of racing. Ever since then, it's been quite a brute. It's a short day, but with a very, very sharp finale. So a slightly later start for everybody, but some very big days still to come, we remind you. Not least, of course, our final day, which is an absolute brute. Leave that hanging. 39 seconds then, and EF Education mob-handed just coming up on that side. Where is the launch pad for them? That's the question. You never know, it might be coming up right now because of the regular nature of the climbs, the little peaks that come immediately after this long test and a long descent. Here we go. Then to the top of the Ordain, just half a minute from the two up the road, Zimmerman and his erstwhile colleague up the road. It's a strange one. Remy Cavagna does not want company. Zimmerman better placed overall, and as a result, I think he just did not really want him around. I don't think really that's had an impact, either of them. It's the peloton is kind of battling itself at the moment, and right now, is this the launch? Well, we've just been speculating while some of you have been away. When is the launch pad? And it looks to me like this could well be it for EF Education. Everyone kind of realises they're hiding in full view. Look how worried Vingegaard is. He comes around the outside, tucked in on the inside as well, Movistar and Enric Mas. They're fully aware of the battle plan here of Richard Carapaz, who is just sitting in on the back wheel here. We've seen a lot of work by Rigoberto around, but Carapaz and Esteban Chavez are more than capable. There is Oran actually on the back wheel. He's acting as a wheel guard for Chavez. I'm beginning to think that this is a kind of a Chavez sort of day, especially if he goes long. Let's wait and see. They're trying to put that particular fire out at the moment. Groupama also joining the fun. Best form of defence on occasions like this may well be attack. You keep the pace high and you just stop anyone pinging off the front. They're still together, Brian, on what will be a technical and high-speed descent, this.
Well, Amador tried to do it yesterday, didn't he?
Yep.
In that descent, and then Carapaz went, but never really committed, and then Landa went. So for the second day in a row, they've decided that they want to kind of push into this descent. But like you say, Groupama are there, Jumbo Visma are there, Jayco Alula are there. They're all very wary of these descents, and it hasn't gone downhill. We're on this kind of plateau for the moment until we had this descent. So this is what they're all kind of racing for, onto this kind of tricky descent, onto the next climb, and potentially we may see a same scenario as yesterday with EF Education in the pink, with various multiple champions, of course, going hard down the descent, potentially helping someone else to launch.
They really are going for this. Matti Chelmos is still in here. So is Bolka Mollema, actually, who can't. A bit surprised, to be honest, that they've chosen this day to have have a dig. Let's see. 17 seconds only our breakaway. Their days are numbered. There's a lot of riders here, Brian, and the road's not terribly wide, and this descent goes on for quite some time.
It does. It doesn't look as bad as maybe a couple of the previous descents, but EF Education did this yesterday with Amador. Fearless when it comes downhill, and already gaps are opening up throughout the whole peloton, so they'll get on to this next climb. Maybe Carapaz will decide to go all out in this one. He didn't yesterday. Maybe he didn't feel as good, but they're planning on trying to do this today. So Amador just as a drink there, looks around, sees Carapaz is there, and will push on.
I just love the way he did that. There's a lot of white knuckles out there as they grab hold of the bars and just maybe say a few Hail Marys. But Amador's like, yeah, I'm just going to take a drink through this curve. It's amazing, Brian. If this is your kind of thing, it's you shred so many fewer nerves than others.
Yeah, it's just about confidence, and we can see that he's really confident going downhill. Yesterday he opened up a few gaps, doing again the same thing today, but it's not as technical as some of the descents we've already had. But if you push on at a descent like this, and these gaps do open, you go on to the next climb, and you're in the best possible place.
There's not much protection here. Even the crash barriers are made of concrete, for goodness sake, so some of them. Do take care, everybody. And they are stringing it out right now. In fact, they're catching up the motorcycles, having more trouble getting through the corners here. You often see this. He'll try and just accelerate on the flat. This is a real paring down on this descent. A long line. If the camera pans back, you'll see just how strung out they are. In fact, they're just retrieving themselves right now on the flat. So this will be getting themselves into colour order, and those who are supposedly going to be offering themselves up as help when we get to our next climb. We've done a loop here. We're coming back to Alzo, so we'll be doing that climb once more, albeit in a different direction. And that will be peaking out in about 5 kilometres time. So they will be screaming down here. Once we've dealt with this, we have another descent, possibly a bit more technical, a bit steeper, then a reach of about 6 kilometres before 4 climbs, the last of which is the most brutal, with those ramps of 25%, as we've already been mentioning. It's not an easy game to play this today. It's we say it's a white knuckle ride. It very much feels like that. They've disappeared from our view. Some of you heading off for a commercial break. We'll keep tabs on it for you. Little amendment by Amador, and he does it again, just swings one way and then the next, as the apex of the next corner reveals itself to him. Fantastic camera work, I must say. They're doing a fabulous job of this, of just keeping tabs on everybody, filming it in reverse, and they're absolutely accelerating through every single one of these curves. This is amazing. Mohamed Kudis also involved here. Likewise, Carapaz, the Ecuadorian champion. We've got Chavez, of course, the Colombian champion. Bedecked they are in different colours of their national jerseys, but this is Team Pink, EF Education Easy Post, doing a fantastic job, nudging 80 kilometres per hour. They want to slam into this next climb and continue to impress, Brian. They're doing a brilliant job.
They are. Amador quite confident in his capabilities. A lot of people mention about the TV camera bike. They actually help. You look at the brake lights on the back to see how hard they're actually braking. Whether you can kick back a little bit or fly into this corner. So this is a bit of a guide sometimes when you're looking at vehicles that are in front, whether you can go full gas around these corners or not. That was a tricky one there, so it looks as if they're all safely around that, just about to pick up the remnants of the breakaway. So pretty much at the bottom of this descent, it will be all together for the first time today.
What a beautiful little vale this is, where the roads bend like this. You often get an arboreal arch as trees meet in the middle. The camera bike now just getting itself ahead of what was our breakaway, just about all back together. I think by the time we get our next shot, you will actually see that we have collected Cavagna out there and Zimmerman. Meanwhile, at the back of this trail of riders, some of those who didn't quite fancy it, you can see just how big this is as they get down towards the water's edge. Again, just screened from us, but beautiful it is. 27.5 kilometres from home then. And our breakaway just about done for. Not quite by the looks of things. Last man standing. There is a combativity prize up for grabs here, presumably. I'm not sure they're overly bothered about that, but you never know.
I think you get a puncture in a descent there from one of the riders near the front, just on the left-hand side.
Did you see who it was? Which team, I mean?
No, from here I couldn't see it. I just saw him set up quite quickly. Taking
this sharp 90-degree turn over the river. Looks very, very still, which always suggests mosquitoes to me, which is an alarm bell. There you go. There are other creatures to ponder.
It could be Mass, or is it? That's the rider there.
I think it's from Alpsinderkönig. If it's Nico Conchi, they had high hopes for him today.
Movistar just stopped in the bridge.
It's our combativity award winner here, I'm afraid, who has found himself waiting at the side of the road. This is not great. From the helicopter shot, I thought it was Alpsinderkönig, but no. And the pace is so high at the moment, just about to introduce to the next climb. The way the terrain reveals itself now, from now on in, any kind of stop is a labour. And this is a laborious change going on here. A slower one, I think you'd be hard pushed to find even if he was trying to do this for a theatre scenario. I'm afraid he is finally back and underway, but that was one of the lousiest changes I've seen for quite some time, Brian. Nervous moment, still not right.
Yeah, but he had to wait as well. Looks like a front wheel as well. Unfortunately, whether he's hit a hole or something like that, it looks as if he could have a double puncture here. Better just changing the bike, but that's what happens when he was in the top 10 going down that descent there. He pulled out, and then unfortunately, he's gone from the front of the race to pretty much the back of the race.
Right, away you go. Gosh, and listen to the crowd response. Love that. Venga. He needs to go for it. And just look at this. This is our breakaway, just about to get tagged. Hadn't quite been absorbed. A great effort by them. And if Remy Cavagna does not get a combativity award at the end of today, then there is absolutely no justice. He was very much part of the vanguard. Zimmerman, actually, with Simon Gesker and Pierre Latour, actually started the original move of the day. So I guess he's been in the break longer than Remy Cavagna, who bridged over, was part of a trio that actually formed a sextet up the road. They're still holding on bravely. But right now, it's time to start bouncing on the pedals and take on our next climb, Brian. They come thick and fast from here on in.
They do. So it's all over, touching the back from Zimmerman. But I think the way that EF Education are riding here, I think they've got enough riders that can feature here. I think they maybe have to try, maybe go on the attack, maybe one of them, because they do have lots of options with Chavez, Carapaz, Urano towards the front. So why not use one of your bullets in this climb?
Attention à la montée de Also. Beaucoup de public et passage étroit. Be careful at the uphill of Also. A lot of public and narrow section.
There we are. Bit of a squeeze point with some enthusiastic fans to contend with.
What, in the Basque Country?
We love them. They really are amazing. You heard the fans there. None of them trying to take goofy selfies or anything. They were all concerned for the rider and just cheering him on when finally the double puncture was sorted. Highly knowledgeable, highly enthusiastic, and highly entertaining round here if you're a cycle fan. 25.2 kilometres to go, digging into the curves. As you can see, no breakaway left anymore. And we're already seeing cards being played by various teams. I'm loving the fact that Jeko Alula are interested in today. And Simon Yates has got to have a go. Here we are. It's roll the dice time. Any one of these peaks could be a launch pad. And Intermarché Wanty would like a bit of this. Rui Costa will be their favoured son for the day, no doubt about it, Brian.
Yeah, I think so. But, I was hoping that it would start maybe a little bit further out. There's a lot of teams can't really afford to wait. Chavez is interested in this one with Mollema. So, a good moment to take advantage. And, they're starting to go at it now.
Mollema are capable of winning today as well. Possibly, if it was a pecking order, maybe even put him ahead of Chavez. But let's see. He's taken the bit between his teeth. He's decided that he's going to have a little bit of a dig here. Modest advantage for the time being. Chase just maintained tempo-wise. Looking back at Groupama Francis, I still believe in Romain Gregoire today, as well as David Godou. But they can't afford the principals to let this go too far away, because Chavez is the sort of rider who can make a steal, and Mollema, likewise. This is good fun. Coming up to about 300 metres to go before we crest, and we will be straight down, short reach in the valley bottom again, before we take on yet another climb, a more sterling one, I think, with about 14 kilometres to go that will be. So 10 k's away from the peak of the next, but we've got this downhill run still to be had. Richard Carapaz just taking on a little bit of sustenance. You can see that Chavez has also taken something on the climb here as Mollema comes out of the saddle. He pushes on. This is a strong trio, Brian, a very, very much a potential threat to the day.
Well, it was Lawson Craddock at the front of the peloton. He's already did a little bit of riding already. But Mollema looked behind. He decides to push on. This is what I was saying a moment ago, that with so many cards to play for EF Education Easy Post, I was hoping that they were going to play one card on this climb, and it's the Chavez card that they played at the moment. So this is a good trail. Lawrence Huys of Intermarché is there with them. So it does look as if Intermarché have had a plan today. They've got a rider in the breakaway, Zimmerman. They've got Lawrence Huys with Chavez and Mollema in front. This is a very tricky descent, so let's see what happens now.
Well, we spoke to Richard Carapaz earlier on today. We'll pick up with him in a few moments' time, but just under 24 kilometres of the day remaining. This is the downhill, a little bit of a gnarly one, long reach on the valley bottom, and then we climb again. I say a long reach on the valley bottom, it's only about 4 or 5 kilometres in length before the next climb indeed begins, possibly just slightly longer than that, but nonetheless, let's see. Huys is just tucked in behind Chavez, as you can see, and they're being told to slow down because of this. Bridge crossing, 90 degree onto a highway. A little bit of banking to help anyone who gets it wrong coming off this, but some padding as well. So they now come back along the highway and will be up towards our next climb. It's non-categorised, by the way, this next one. There's still 4 climbs to come, Brian, crammed into these last 23 kilometres.
There is. You've got a bit of respite now. It does look as if it's still Lawson Craddock. It's at the front for Jaco Alula. But yeah, good to see the racing starting already in earnest in the last 25 kilometres now. And I think this will be the way that will happen all the way to the finish, because not everybody will want to come to this finishing hill or climb or wall, in fact, all together.
Just hugging the wall as they do. We'll hear from Mollema in a few moments' time. Here he is in the break. This is fantastic for him. Great that we had a chat with him as well. Stuck around yesterday as well, don't forget. Pure Ardennes preparation, some saying that this race would be, but he's got a chance of victory, then why not? Let's hear from him. Bauke Mollema spoke to us before we started today.
Bauke, today I will ask your help because I struggle a bit to read what will happen, because it's a really special course here on this Basque Country and the only real uphill finish. So what do you think will happen?
Yeah, it's the only uphill finish, but it's not the only hard stage. I mean, the last stage on Saturday is super hard, and I think will be decisive for the general classification. I think riders will attack really early already on Saturday, the GC guys, and also tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, Friday, are not easy. But today is a finish like Mur de Huy, I think, like Flèche Wallonne. So it's super steep. I mean, there will already be some gaps, I think, between the GC guys after today.
Does that mean that the GC guys will go for it, you think, or will be more of a breakaway and they will be more looking for the other stages, like you say?
No, I don't think it will be a breakaway day today. It will be nervous in the peloton, and I mean, there's still a lot of guys. I mean, within 10 seconds, more or less, in the classification. So I don't think the breakaway will get too much time today.
And so you say like it's like Mur de Huy. You have a young leader with Matthias Kiemos. Is a good kind of effort for him?
Yeah, he's a good puncher. I mean, he's quite fast. Also Mur de Huy, those kind of explosive climbs suit him well. So we hope to keep him up there today and then also the next few days.
And you will be dedicated to that, or if there is a shot, you can go?
No, I don't really focus on the general classification this week. I think I'm more preparing the Ardennes Classics after this. I come from a period without racing. I was 1 month at home just training and preparing my next goals.
Well, he might have a goal today. He doesn't think a breakaway will go all the way, unless, of course, he's in it, and then he'll give it a go. Mur de Huy, he's had some great results there in the past. To be honest, I thought this team might well be just trying to get Juan Pedro Lopez back to where he needs to be, but he's coming back from injury, I'm reminded, so not in the best of places at the moment. 16 seconds they've got. Well, you just never know when a rider is keeping a light under a bushel, and of course opportunities present themselves, Brian. You have to step forward, and Bauke Mollema is part of a very strong trio here with now nearly 20 seconds.
He's very good at looking at opportunities. He's very experienced, and he's delivered some top results in the past. I think since he's gone away from maybe a general classification contender, which he was before, into more of a kind of stage hunter, he's had some really good success. So the fact that he looked around, he decided this was the one he wanted to press on, and they've almost got 20 seconds, and he's getting great help from the likes of Chavez, and why not? They have got multiple options today, so they can go all in. It's not as if they've got just this one leader. And the young rider from Intermarché at the back, it was himself that instigated this move. So yeah, it's definitely kicked off proceedings in the last 20 kilometres now.
Love it. Let's hear from Richard Carapaz, shall we? Teammate of Esteban Chavez, who's up the road.
Richard, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo es las sensaciones después de?
Well, tell us about your sensations as they've been. Well, yeah, the truth is, little by little, I'm finding my form. I think that after an enormous break that I had, everything has been good to start now. Catalonia and now the Basque Country, finding good feelings as well. And I think that a little bit now, having the shape that I've been looking for, and hoping that we can continue to enjoy this. Special place, special opportunities. It's a bit particular, this place. Today is a climb maybe that could be very hard for about 20 to 30 minutes, actually. I think it means the approach to it as well. Very explosive, and I think it will matter a lot about the placement, and above all, everything in the journey is going to be very, very hard today. I think today, he goes on to say, is going to be a very, very key day. Not for the general classification, because there is 500 metres that are very, very demanding. But you can lose many seconds in the general classification if you get things wrong. And that we saw yesterday as well. It accounted for Marc Soler and a few others as well that really did lose time. Danny Martinez himself from Ineos Grenadiers got a very late mechanical, and unfortunately for him, that meant that he shipped 37 seconds. Doesn't sound like much, but honestly, and here he is, Danny Martinez, and proof positive, there he is. 37 seconds in arrears, not a happy place for him. Who's going to be in a happy place today? 18 seconds, 3 riders up the road who are extremely capable, and this is marking out, as you can see, the Jayco drive, the Jaco Alula boys, just trying to tee up Simon Yates, I'd have thought, for today. But on their back wheel, almost as a nuisance, are EF Education Easy Post. You see this a lot, Brian?
Yeah, you do. And, they've got every right to sit there, and it does look as if it's all kind of left up to the team from Jaco Alula from Australia, the boys in blue and white. They have got Sobrero in second place as well. So this is going to be a really interesting battle on towards the finish here, because many teams believe that they have got the rider to deliver the victory today.
They do. Mikkel Landa could well be one of those. Show that he's up for it. You can see Jonas Aguirre just in front of him with his Cofidis team all mobbed around him. Raymond Rojas and Jonathan Lastra helping out in that duty. Here's our leader, Ida Schelling, resplendent in the golden jersey. Had a super job yesterday. Would prefer a downhill finish to today. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. He just sailed by number 53, Sergio Higuita, who he will be looking after. So he's going to sacrifice himself, by his own words, into the next couple of climbs to make sure that Higuita's got a chance to push on. And don't be surprised if Higuita goes extremely well today. He's capable of doing it, especially on an explosive ramp. It's got to be in a decent place, though. It depends on how crowded it is. This has thinned down a lot, Brian, already.
Yeah, it looks small, and it is small. And it's courtesy of these short, sharp climbs. It's not just the inclines, but every time we've come off a descent, there's been gaps appearing, and very difficult to close when they start pushing on like this. So, because of the smaller group, less riders to help out in the chase behind as well. So, this is why they're trying to take advantage. They really aren't getting those kind of 20 plus seconds. It's kind of hanging in the balance. Good job being done by Lawson Craddock for Jaco Alula. Just one rider managing to keep these riders about 17, 18 seconds.
Well, they're showing the duty at the moment. If it's not Plan A, Esteban Chavez, what he's doing is giving a great bit of respite, I guess you might say, to both Rigoberto Urán and Richard Carapaz, who I think would be their second options here. To fold over if Chavez didn't make it all the way. Only 14 seconds, so that is a good old drive by Lawson Craddock. 16.1 kilometres from home. Just a handful of seconds. We're not that far away from our next climb, however, and indeed that peaks out in 2 kilometres time, so short and very sharp, Brian.
Yeah, and you can see that why it's important, because Jaco Alula have been displaced from the front of the peloton now by the team of Groupama in the dark blue. Amador still there looking after Carapaz, so it's all about positioning rather than a chase. 10 seconds now, so they can see them just up the road, but I think we could see a little bit more action on this next climb as well, uncategorised however, so a few riders in this small gap of 11 seconds, we may see some riders trying to come across to them from the peloton behind.
Now it does max out. It's got some proper ramps within this of sort of 12, 13, even 15%, and it's not categorised. Can you believe that? Look at how narrow it is as well. So if this is reflected over the other side, that's going to make for a very sketchy descent, and I hope that they can thin themselves down just a little bit. Only 8 seconds now from this trio up front. Chavez still pushes on. In fact, I think he may well be last man standing from this group. Bobka Mollema just tying up a little bit, and Vingegaard has called for a drive, and he's getting that. Just tucked in behind to Gregoire and Golu, also hitting the ramps. It's all kicking off here, and we've got ramps of 15% on a very narrow road here. It only stretches over about 2 kilometres, and Chavez is going to be last man standing. If he can get over this peak, all he's going to do is introduce himself to get more pain. Can you believe this is not categorised? Unbelievable. There we are, the fans going suitably crazy. They've been warned about them. Narrow roads, and probably that warning coming again. And Chavez it is that kicks on. I'm not going to dwell on this. He pushes on. We wait to see who is going to come and join him.
Be careful at the...
Well, there we are. I'm thankfully they're fading these out. It's stating the obvious. Got to be careful on the descent here. It's a gnarly road, as you can see. the leaves on the trees are just coming into bud, so they are starting to shed those buds, and that can make for, you'll see an orangey complexion to the side of the road. That's where the husks of the leaf buds lie, and it can be nasty because they carry a little bit of sap to them as well. It can make it quite sketchy, and of course in the shadows here, in a renowned area of damp, despite the fact we've had very good weather, it can actually be something of a challenge as well. You get the darker areas. You see the orange at the side of the road here as well, where the wind has blown those husks to one side. 5 seconds. They've gone for a musical interlude, an art shot here. But really, we want to know who is starting to pull out of the peloton.
It's Danny Martinez, by the looks of things. He's already attacked a couple of times, as you already said. A mechanical lost a bit of time, 37 seconds down in general classification. And so far from the peloton, he seems to be the most sprightly. But Chavez kicks on here, but you can see the red, or the kind of red and orange jerseys towards the front. Landa also there, but Chavez doing a really good job here.
I'm not quite sure who it'll be for DSM today, but let's wait and see. And Landa falls through and over the top, and almost immediately following him, Jonas Aguirre wants to be part of today. They've got Lastra and Rojas as well. They've got cards to play. That is Danny Martinez, just heads down, trying to get involved. Izagiri, though, is driving into this. Rigoberto Urán not that far off the pace either. Aaron Buru, actually, remarkably, in the green jersey, is also staying in touch. Let's see. Lando showed great form yesterday, just spearing through the crowd. Loving this. And we are too. It's all kicking off with 14.5 kilometres to go. Looking a little bit breathy, I must say, is Richard Carapaz, who possibly would have preferred to be on his own. Vingegaard, there, is on the 7th wheel, and they're just saying anything extra here and not required. Lando wants a bit of a feed, and through they come with 14.3 kilometres remaining. Well, if it hasn't thinned out already, it will do in a short while, because we're going to be climbing once again. This is brilliant, Brian.
Yeah, these steep climbs, they're starting to hurt a little bit. Nice to see that Martinez trying, and he'll try again. He'll want to win the stage after a disappointment yesterday. And then we've got Landa trying over the top there. Enric Mas is there. Carapaz just policing things. So it's getting a bit cagey at the moment. But yeah, this front group settling down to about just over 30 riders. But in the meantime, Chavez held that gap from the bottom to the top, because it was 11 seconds at the bottom. He's held on to that advantage. And is really, asked the questions of a lot of the other teams, because they cannot afford to let this rider go. We saw how good he was in Catalonia, and they do have options at EF Education. So with Chavez here now, and limited resources back for some of the teams, that's why they're looking at each other. Who is going to chase down Chavez?
This is fabulous. They are looking at each other, and every time they take that glance, another half second gets added to this man's tally. It's absolutely remarkable. Well, here they are, still kicking on, but, well, they're not. It looks like there's been a hiatus here, and this is a danger. It's going to be spinning out to 20 seconds before you know it. As soon as Izagirre makes any kind of move, straight on his back wheel is Richard Carapaz. In fact, they've been marking out as disruptors for quite some time, teammates of Chavez, who's up the roads. Carapaz, remind you, Ecuadorian champion with the yellow shoulders here. 32 seconds now back to the yellow jersey, nearly 20 to this group, which contains Matthias Schelmos, by the way, I might add. But the yellow jersey has actually done his job today on behalf of Sergio Guito, who is part of this group for Bora Hansgrohe. 20-second margin hit right now. This is a dangerous margin with the sort of terrain that still remains, Brian.
Yeah, he's on his own. He would have wished maybe that Huys and Mollema stayed with him, but it was that moment over the top there where a lot of riders just looked behind and said, well, I'm not chasing, you're not chasing, who is chasing, sort of thing. And Cofidis have decided to take it on. Enric Mas was up there. I saw one of his teammates try to come up towards the front, but he cannot afford to give Chavez too much. Now Soudal, Quick-Step come and start to ride. You can see Carapaz, he's sitting there in second place, just kind of placing everything at the moment. I'm pretty sure Chavez will be getting a lot of encouragement. He came up a little bit short in Valter dos Meo in the Catalunya, but with 22 seconds, I'm not too sure it's enough, but any faltering of the chase, and this man could be going all the way.
this is his problem, is the occasional little reach of flat road. But he does tempo himself beautifully. Look at the speed differential between himself. Actually, the peloton's still possibly on the descent with those those kind of speeds. Let's see once they hit the flat in a few moments' time. In fact, they've just knocked back, so we've got a better comparison right now. This is a horrible thing to view for a rider, Brian, an arrow straight road, especially when you're just rolled off the front like that on the climb, and then you've done the power work, and now you've got to do the maintenance of it. It's a hard task.
He did very well holding on to that advantage in that climb, pushed it out a little bit. But like you say, in these kind of long, flat sections of the course and they're running towards the finish, it's always very difficult to keep away from the peloton, especially now that we see that a couple of teams are willing to ride them down.
Well, this is what we're going to be dealing with a little bit later on. It is absolutely relentless. We do have gradients of 25%. It's going to look like a slow bicycle race very, very shortly. This is the yellow jersey on the right-hand side of your screen while we ponder the vineyards. Yes, that, of course, is the man who did such a great job Ida Schelling yesterday. I think we've got an idea of what the finish looks like. Kind of slow-mo. We could have done with a quicker version of that, Brian, to be honest. Meanwhile, I'm just going to tell you about while the music goes on.
Nobody's going to go quick up here. Even the cameraman. Or the drone.
Yeah, exactly. The drone operator. Oh gosh, we could do a bit of techno music for a time like this. Not the orchestra, but anyway, orchestrating a fabulous gap at the moment is Esteban Chavez. I would love him to be able to deliver today. I said it not that long ago. I think he is perhaps the best ambassador for cycling on the planet. He is such a cheery, wonderful character. And he's been around a long time. Veteran status, just a few suggestions of flecks of grey there. But yeah, he looks ever youthful. He's probably got an oil painting hidden up in the attic somewhere. Takes the turn, takes the climb, little flick-flack through it. He can choose all the lines right now. He'll be writing a few as well, I imagine, at the end of this. This is a spectacular effort by him. He's gone all in, Brian. He's got no other option.
He has, but the team has other options back in the peloton.
Indeed.
I think in this climb again, we're going to see maybe a couple of other moves. Maybe Landa will try again. Martinez, I think, we may try. He tried a couple of times in that previous climb. This group is whittled down somewhat to about 50, maybe 60 riders now. And we had another climb, another uncategorised climb. Just to remind everybody that we do have a bonus sprint at 5 kilometres to go.
Just looking into the pack here, and some great work being done by Team Jumbo-Visma. They've been playing a cagey game. They haven't done too much today, Brian, but you've got a feeling that they've got no option but to invest in the rest of this day now.
They've controlled the race very well. They still get numbers towards the front, looking after Vingegaard. They took the reins a little bit in this race through the majority of it, just keeping Vingegaard out of trouble. It's as if they were riding in the leader's jersey. But, you know, over the course of the last kind of 20 kilometres, the race to kind of open up a little bit. I did think there would be maybe some more attacks on this climb, but it looks as if maybe the stuffing has been kicked out a few of them, and they're just allowing Jumbo-Visma to control things with Sam Owen.
Well, David Godot not that far off where he needs to be. Enric Mas as well, tucked in nicely, just keeping an eye. Not an ideal scenario for Enric Mas, but one where it may end up be head-to-head between Mas and Vingegaard. Indeed, the higher ground as well, of course. On this punchy run in, I think Vingegaard's got a great chance today. But Chavez, he still believes, and with 14 seconds, he's just coming up to this next peak that we're dealing with right now. He is going to be witnessing or feeling wraps of 11 and 12%. That's no laughing matter. But we're waiting for that grand finale where we'll be hitting 25s very, very late on. 16 seconds. He's holding station at the moment, Brian, constantly, and it had to garner a response, and that's what we're finally seeing. Is that James Knox has gone off after him?
Yeah, it looks like it. Sam Owen has done a good job here, but we're starting to see, and I thought it would come again in this climb. said it many times, and not everybody wants to go to this finishing climb with the likes of David Gaudu and also Vingegaard as well. So nice to see James Knox trying, and also looks like Lopez is coming.
Wow. Well, they're all starting to fold over each other at the moment. Let's wait and see. Just grinding into it. This was the moment that James Knox decided to impose himself. Brilliant. Who's he dragged out, though? And is it definitive? That's the question. Well, fantastic. This is a way to grind it down. Juan Pedro Lopez. Bauke Mollema had a try earlier on. Shelmos too tough for him, but Lopez from Trek Segafredo just tagging onto the back wheel here, potentially of James Knox. Still a 10-second margin between themselves and Chavez, who's up front. Will Chavez work with them?
I think he'll have to. I think it's, he's committed to this, and okay, he might be a little bit tired from the efforts he's already made, but he's doing a terrific job, kind of holding on. And I think for the moment, his goal is the 3 seconds on the bonus sprint. Whether he can keep that, winning 3 seconds in a bonus sprint and maybe losing 10-15 seconds in the finish, that's what you have to kind of balance up. But for the moment, he'll continue this effort. He will be joined quite quickly from Knox and Lopez, but the bunch haven't given up.
No, they haven't. And that little cruel downhill section, you heard the impact of the traffic calming device there, the sleeping policeman, which kicked the cameraman by the sounds of things. He'll be singing alto tonight. 6 seconds is the gap. That's between this man and those who are following him. Down to 5 as well. He'll be aware that they are coming. It's whether he believes he's got the beating of the likes of James Knox and Juan Pedro Lopez. JP at the end has a check over the shoulder, might just start to moderate his pace, but thinking about 7.2 kilometres to go, does not want to lose out on that 3 second bonus, Brian. That comes in 2 kilometres time, and it's at the bottom of this.
But he's made a huge effort here already, and just like Landa went yesterday and took the 3 seconds, he could have paid for it in the final climb. They didn't race up it, but definitely they'll race up it today. But it looks as if Knox and Lopez coming across here, not Mollema. He was in the previous attack, but good to see James Knox getting across here. Remember, he had a nasty fall with a concussion in the Tour Down Under, so nice to see him back.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, concussion protocols and all. Kept him off the bike for a while. 6.3 kilometres then from home. Lopez has a look, does not want to swap wheel, almost half wheels James Knox here. So they come back and bridge to Chavez, who now just weaves to one side of the road, just a little bit of easement. This is off the back, Brian.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be very difficult for the yellow jersey to keep a hold of that. He's dropped in the previous climb and now dropped again. I don't think he'll come back. Nice to see Serrano. Serrano's made it almost back to the peloton, but in that front group of 3, Chavez is at 21 seconds, Lopez at 21 seconds, but James Knox is 10 seconds off the lead.
Yep. And this is a great opportunity for him. He will want to be in the right place for that intermediate sprint, so Chavez can start thinking about perhaps 2 seconds at best if he can beat JP Lopez at the same time. It's looking like everyone's getting rather fatigued at the moment. They're wrestling the bike. This is the pickup. This is not our final climb, by the way. This is the climb up to that intermediate sprint. How nasty is that, Brian?
Yeah. As expected in the Basque Country race, up and downhill, and a lot of uncategorised climbs. Be nice to see the front of the race, however, because I believe that they'll be possibly through that bonus sprint.
I think they may be. This is a very, very short climb. They have a similar descent, so imagine sort of going back down this road. It's a very much an upside down V that we're going to be dealing with, very sharp. Then we come up over the top. Brandon McNulty not that far, just for him to just preserve a little bit for today. Sadly, they lost Marc Soler yesterday, which is a shame for Team UAE Emirates. Danny Martinez still keeping his powder very much dry. Sergio Aguita for Bora Hansgrohe has got an opportunity here. And here are our trio. I believe, there we go. was that confirmation of the sprint? It was almost
they're going for it now.
I was going to say it was almost a flash, and I'm afraid it's going to be 1 bonus second for Chavez by the looks of things. And it's Lopez for the time being. James Knox, is going to come round him? Meanwhile, DSM, it's interesting who they sent to mark this out as well. Attila Valter is here for Vingegaard, the Hungarian champion, looking back through the group, and still waiting to see who has a big dig. Baggioli's still here, in the Young Riders jersey for Soudal Quickstep. That's impressive. The leader overall, Ida Schelling, will not be in the lead at the end of today, that's for sure. Just drifting by him is Serrano, another quickish man that won't feature today, but Schelling's done a great job already. Meanwhile, where's Chavez? I think he's backed beyond these guys. This is the head of the race. James Knox coming through. Now, have they already dealt with the bonus seconds? I think they may have done. We may have missed it, but here comes Chavez back to them for the final climb. And Valter it is that picks up the pace here. Valter setting the pace on behalf of Jonas Vingegaard, who's surely not that too far away. Haven't caught sight of him for a little while. Richard Carapaz has been very much hovering for the time being. He's on second wheel just for now. He'll be going for it. Should Chavez falter, maybe Chavez may well be able to offer him something, but it's such a short climb. I think it's just a coping pace, especially because of the ramps that we're dealing with. Not all over, Brian, but the 3 up the road still have a margin, still got it, as we'll head to our final climb.
Yeah, they still have about, I think, 12, potentially 15 seconds, and Jumbo-Visma have been forced into this. Carapaz doing a terrific job, but still whittling down this front group. So we're through that sprint point. We missed it again. So hopefully we'll be able to give you those. But they're all back together with Lopez at the front in the red, James Knox in the middle, with Chavez just hanging on at the back.
Let's see. So our final climb is properly nasty. They've got about 2 more kilometres before we actually get to the foot of it. It's incredibly short. They haven't factored in, I'm afraid, into this the intermediate sprint bonus seconds 3, 2 and 1 that we've already had, and because we didn't see it, we're not shown it, we have no other information. Apologies for that. Catch up with it later. Every second counts in this race, Brian. That's why they're going for these intermediates as well.
Well, it's going to 17 seconds, which is good, but that can be snaffled up quite quickly in a finish like this. And you can see they are pushing on. Chavez has been in front for a considerable amount of time, so he felt a little bit fatigued in that final climb there. He came back, however. It just goes to show you how strong he is. But they've got a great opportunity here. Trek Segafredo have been on the attack. Mollema was in the attack. I believe he had a puncture, now trying to come back. But James Knox, first time we've mentioned him in this race, he stands a very good chance of trying to take this stage. But 14 seconds, 13 seconds now, it is coming down.
Well, James Knox can climb. We've seen that. Tirreno Adriatico a couple of years ago, 3 I think. Actually, had a fabulous race there. He's proper quality, especially in a moment such as this, because doggedly determined, I think, can often accompany his name. JP Lopez, Esteban Chavez, I believe. Lopez, he tried to kick on there and shake Chavez out, but they're better to work together. They've only got a margin of 12 seconds, but what is coming? A whole load of hell, and the very steepest part of the climb. It gets steeper and steeper throughout the reach of it. The very most difficult inclines are at the very end. So they'll be hitting around sort of 4, 6 and 8% in very short order over maybe just 150 metres. Then we hit 10, eases just a little bit, but only down to 6s and 7s. And then it picks up yet again to the line. This is all crammed into the next couple of kilometres once we start climbing. It's rude almost, and James Knox does not want anyone else in this party for the time being. Lopez has a look at Chavez as if to say, aren't you coming through to give me a turn? Chavez just trying to moderate his effort for the time being. Movistar doing a lot of work. This is for Enric Mas, not shown his face just yet. Uran is here as well. You can see him looming large, centre of the road, just next to Izagirre, who's on his shoulders in the red and white of Cofidis. Meanwhile, Colombian champion does come through to take a turn. Doesn't want to let James Knox off the leash. But JP Lopez playing a blinder here for Trek. He has a look over his shoulder as well. They have to share the duty. Turn onto the climb goes for James Knox. Everyone else is going to have to make the same turn, so they'll drift to the right-hand side of the road to make the left-hand turn onto the climb. And spearing up, almost dive-bombing up the inside, is Danny Martinez. Wants to improve position. He's now moved up to position 6. He's almost on the shoulder here of Jonas Vingegaard, has been dragged into position at the moment, dragged along to the party. And right now, James Knox is having one all on his own. There's the Flamme Rouge. Starts to just pick into this one, takes a left-hander. He drives into this right now, and this is where the incline really starts to pick up. We're talking 21%, 22%, 25% at the very last in some of the turns here. This is brilliant. James Knox stamping on the pedal, look behind, and here come the pack, and they're just about to absorb here both Chavez and Lopez, and it's a modest margin indeed. And here comes Chavez just closing that gap. He's dragged through onto it. Will he now be able to just go round his man? Let's wait and see. Everybody else is coming to join the fun. Attila Volta is doing a great job. That's Jonas Vingegaard right there, and also on his shoulders is Richard Carapaz. Just behind them is Enric Mas as well. The greats have come to the fore, and they're starting to shred to the side of the road, picking them off. That's James Knox who's gone right now. They're folding over each other. There goes Lopez in one last throw of the dice, but who else is left behind? That's the question. Vingegaard on the back wheel of Attila Volta. You can also see Richard Carapaz, whose friend and colleague. Chavez has done such a great job for him. Little bit of a plateau here as they come into the fans, and the grind goes on. And if you want somebody who can grind anyone to dust, it's Attila Volta, the Hungarian champion. There he is, and on his back wheel is Jonas Vingegaard. When does Vingegaard press go? That's the question, Brian.
Yep, onto the steepest part now, and I really don't know what Lopez was doing at the bottom. He was concerned with Chavez. I don't think he should have been, but Valter leading Vingegaard now with Carapaz just propped on the wheel. Enric Mas lurking as well, just on the wheel of Carapaz. So a little bit of a respite, and then we turn right. And this is the steepest part all the way to the finish. Here we go, up past the vineyard, and Vingegaard now has got no other option other than to go for it. It's Higuita. Oh, and he's rammed. Higuita gets taken to the barriers here, tangles up, and that, disaster for Richard Carapaz as well. And this has thrown the cat amongst the pigeons. Vingegaard goes for it, and he's got Enric Mas upon his wheel. What an absolute nightmare. Landers still believes that he can drag himself back into this one. What a shame we had that collision. Get back to that in a moment, but Vingegaard here is on a march, and look at the gaps he's posting here, and on this kind of incline this counts for an awful lot of seconds. Vingegaard has a look over his shoulder. Mas tries to pick it up. There is Lander as well. Izagirre's in the frame equally so, but it's going to be Vingegaard here. It's damage limitation for those behind. Enric Mas trying to close the gap. Lander's going mano a mano with him. Suddenly a little bit of a plateau, is it? Oh, he's got to drive on. He's out of the saddle once again. Tough this most certainly as it's designed to be. Here's a harded section, the very line itself. Boom, he takes it. Brilliant work. Lander in second place ahead of Mas, and then we'll have to ponder. There is Izagirre, and that is Godot. And my life, what drama we have had here. JP Lopez comes across the line. Likewise, the blue young jersey of Baggioli here. What a shame. What an absolute disaster for Richard Carapaz. Tangled up in a tangle. Doesn't get tougher than that. And it doesn't get better than this. That's what it feels like to win a day like this. And just look at Vingegaard. This is a man who, of course, can dominate in all kinds of terrain. And he's had a big day today on a very short and very sharp finale. Wow, Brian.
Well, he started the year well. He went into Paris-Nice, and I think, and probably the question is, does he really have to answer questions? I think he does, and he answered them today. He won the stage quite convincingly there. Nice to see Land up there. They'll be first and second, only a handful of seconds between them, but that'll take a huge weight off the shoulders of Vingegaard today. In this company, winning that stage, I think he had to do it. I said it in commentary, he had to do it. it's not all about kind of waiting for July in the Tour de France. He has, for his team's sake, he has to win, and he won quite convincingly. I thought it was a great finish, brilliant finish. It's just a shame about the Higuita incident, taking out himself, Carapaz and that, but wow, just an incredible finish to this stage today. I think it would still be the same without that wee incident, but yeah, Vingegaard won quite convincingly there.
Well, they're weaving their way home. It's just to get to the line, quite frankly. Ramps are 25%. And you see what happens, Brian, if you suddenly go pop, if you run out of resources, you wilt, and you can bring others, I'm afraid, down with you.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. When you get steep climbs, I don't think it was the fault of Lopez. It was just he was going all out. He moved to the right hand side. Unfortunately, Higuita was coming up the barrier side. You always take a risk, but it was narrow. The barriers were coming in and out. I don't think anybody was at fault there, but it was just really unfortunate. But you know, nice to see Landa catch up with Mas, taking second place. So that'll be your podium for the moment, but really not a lot in it. So we'll go on for the next few days, but the bonus seconds will be very important.
Here's that moment. This is Lopez just oh dear, what is that bicycle doing at the side of the road here?
It's Shimano, it's neutral.
Just in case anyone got into trouble. Well, plenty did, I'm afraid, and the neutral service guy is getting himself into bother, mobbed by those behind him. He's trying to get riders going. I'm not quite sure stepping into the fray is the right thing to do, and the barriers have been amended to keep those bikes there. I get the idea, but it's a shame. Just keeping his head, best place to be, safest place to be is out front, and that's where Vingegaard was, Brian.
Yeah, perfect lead from his teammates into that part. It was unfortunate for Higuita. He took the opportunity. That gap is closing, but Lopez was just pretty much spent and all over his bike. But a brutal finish on not just about the finish, on quite a difficult last kind of 50, 60 kilometres, a lot of steep climbs. But look at the emotion here. That's the Tour de France champion. The emotion again from Landa. I think fatigue there from Mas, but that meant a lot to Vingegaard, more than probably he'll let on to.
There's your result. Vingegaard takes it. Give the same finish time as Landa and Mas. No discernible difference between Landa and Mas there. But of course, factor in the bonuses as well. Vingegaard gets there. Izagirre in fourth place ahead of Godot, Shelmos, Felix Gall riding well. Baggioli was in the frame. Simon Yates finishing in that group with Aaron Buru, rounding out your top 10. But Vingegaard today, that was great. Real fortitude, and took time as well once he got his breath back to thank Attila Volta, who was first to him, who did a great job in pacing him up that incline. We loved that. Well, he's dialing home, Brian.
I think he's ordering a pizza. That's what happens when you win. You get a treat.
Well, we're going to be hearing from Lopez, who got himself a little bit tangled up there. This will be interesting. Let's see what the mood is. Well, nice attack, obviously. A lot of strength there.
Me he encontrado bien, ¿no? Primer día que encuentro las sensaciones y nada, lo he probado.
Well, I went with great passion and enthusiasm to try and take my opportunity, but
Con Esteban Chaven, James Knox.
No, hemos dicho de pasar los tres juntos para intentar llegar a la meta y jugárnosla ahí, pero al final pues nos han cogido.
Es bien bueno para las próximas etapas.
Sí, bueno, contento y con buenas sensaciones y bueno, lo he intentado con este, pero...
Good stage, great sensations, and of course with a guy like this, why not?
Muchas gracias, Mampe.
Apologies for that. Well, no real mention of the incident there, Brian.
No, I don't think he was asked. I don't think it was his fault. I think it was just a coming together. It was just unfortunate because he just kind of drifted a little bit. He was tired. I don't know what he was doing at the bottom of the climb. He was concerned about Chavez when he shouldn't have. He still had the legs, and then James Knox said to himself, I'm not hanging around here while you two battle it out with each other. So James went, and I just think he made a mistake there. I don't think he would have won the stage, but he just get caught up in the moment, messing around, thinking about Chavez, who had been in front for a considerable amount of time. So you just put everything into it, and unfortunately they came away with nothing. But as for that incident with Higuita, I think it hampered Higuita more than anything. And we will never know, but I think for sure this man would still have won.
Oh, just showing him a replay on GCN Plus. Obviously got the race pass. We had ourselves a fantastic breakaway today. There was always going to be the opportunity potentially for success, especially with the sort of gnarly profile that we had. Prudhomme from AG2R, Remy Cavagna from Soudal Quickstep, along with Pierre Latour Strong from Total Energies, who started the move, with Zimmerman from Intermarché and Simon Geske from Cofidis. They were joined by Guernayek. Bike changes, Swift for Groupama Francis to keep David Godot where he needed to be, which is up towards the front. Great Joe 90 obviously shot there. And they began assembling mountains points, but that was really of least concern to them. Most concern should have been EF Education Easy Post and what their battle plan was, because they were driving into this gap, and who would they release to drive onwards and upwards? And the answer, of course, was ultimately Esteban Chavez. Double puncture front and back, and a little bit of knee rash as well, as you can see. And that's the longest exchange for Serrano, the crowd royally cheering him on. And then this terrific late push. Laurent Sois from Intermarché with Volker Mollema, and of course Esteban Chavez, and he was to be last man standing. We were pondering whether he would make it all the way, with 4 peaks remaining at this distance, 15.2 from home, including an intermediate sprint which rather unkindly sat upon a crusty knoll just 5 kilometres from the line. Orlando had pushed out in this race to try and snaffle bonus seconds. That was the last thing on his mind, I assume, at this moment. But really showing his hand, he's got a great deal of strength. The problem for him is others have too. James Knox, bright and breezy, back to his combative best. He rolled off the front, and indeed JP Lopez of Trek Segafredo was also to go there. Our race leader from yesterday, not in control of things either Schelling today, but would Bora get a chance with Higuita? The answer, unfortunately, was no. He crumpled in an incident behind as Jonas Vingegaard went off the front, and indeed put a little bit of separation